Good morning, everybody. Welcome to, hold on. Today is Thursday, May 12th. Welcome to the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, Simply Cyber's morning cybersecurity threat briefing. I'm your host, Gerald Auger, and over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news story of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories. What it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break into the industry, we got you covered. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. I want to remind you, if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, the Daily Cyber Threat Brief is worth half a CPE, so they stack, right? 2.5 a week, 10 a month if you're coming every day. Which I hope you are. So be sure to document literally the easiest and I would argue the most enjoyable way to earn CPEs. Just mention yourself in chat. Just say hi, good morning, whatever you want. And basically, it'll be forever audited or auditable. If you're live, love it. I see you guys, 45 of you stacking in here. Get in here. It's good to see you. If you want to jump right, if you're on replay, thank you. If you want to jump right to the good stuff, when the ticker... Gosh, it's a tough morning here. When the ticker right next to my face there gets down to 0, we'll start the briefing. So you can just grab the timer, slide to the right, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. But if you're live with us, you know what we're about to do. Let's welcome everybody into chat for the next 1 minute and 21 seconds. Special shout out to Shane Prevost and the kids in the car. Got a special note from Shane. It might say 51 people in the stream right now, but there are people who listen in groups, including families. Got to get those youth started on the cyber so they know what's happening. Good morning to everybody. Hey, Mark Lester, Michelle Murphy. Mark, I wish I could go to the summit there on the 24th. I found out about it. Looks like an awesome panel, awesome day of activities. I actually have a conflict that day and won't be able to go, but I hope I saw your name there as someone who's going. Hey, Eula Chua. Hey, Ms. Julian Roxby. Good to see you. Brian, hello. Lupe had an interview yesterday and got the how do you get cyber news. Boom! All right, hold on. I gotta let me fix my soundbar, guys. I'm Lupe. I hope you like slam dunked it like on him. You're like and one. What's up, Matthew Dimmick, Joey Hyde? I see you, David A. Good stuff, man. Spastic. Woo! Asha, good to see you. Hey, Kimberly. Kimberly's got a big day on the cyber streams Thursday. Guys, I'm just going to share a quick story with you. I don't know how today is going to work out because I've had a couple little missteps already this morning. I spilled half my pot of French press. So I'm only getting half dosed today on the coffee tip, and I'm a little concerned about that. But let's sip some of this. Oh, that's wonderful news, Lupe. Keep us posted. I'd be super pumped for you. Maybe I get... Yes, Lupe gets a squad wow. Way to go, Lupe. I hope you crush it. Hey, Michelle, good to see you guys. I know I started the timer quick. Just grant me this grace. I know the people who are watching on replay are like, dude, you said you were getting into the stories. What's happening right now? Hey, Junior. Hey, Emilio. Kayla Rose. Sherry, always nice to see you. Cable Security. Hey, Carrie. Just give me a second, guys. Please grant me a little bit of grace. I need to get this coffee into my system and actually activated. No sound. That's going to be a concern. Can you guys hear me? Please let me know. Please let me know if you can hear me, because if you can't, well, Carrie can't hear me, but can anyone else hear me? Because if it's if it's everybody's problem, then it's my problem. If it's Carrie's problem, then it's probably on Carrie's end. Okay, thank you, Peter Parker. Okay, cool. Let's rock and roll, people. Give me this coffee. All right, here we go. Oh, God, that's good. Okay. If you guys want to play along, go to cisoseries.com, or if you just don't like my style, if you don't like the sound effects, you don't like my speed, that's cool. No judgment. But cisoseries.com is a great way to get this information, so be sure to check it out yourself. David Spark and the gang over there do great work. All right, sit back, relax. Let's get into the news.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
It's Thursday, May 11th, 2022.
May 12th.
Old botnets are new again. Newspire's Q1 2022 threat report found a resurgence in activity from several older botnets, including Mirai, Strat, and Emotet. Mirai and Strat showed a spike in activity with the rise of the Spring 4 shell vulnerability in February 2022. Overall, Newspire found botnet activity on the whole up 12.21% in Q1 compared to Q4. And researchers at SecureWorks Counter Threat Unit found new malware samples in VirusTotal that show evidence of new activity from the Revil ransomware organization. These samples showed modifications to known Revil samples, indicating it's under active development again. Revil's Tor server infrastructure was seized by a multi-country law enforcement operation in October 2021.
Okay. So a bunch of things going on here, guys. Botnets, real quick for those who are uninitiated. Botnets are basically compromised machines that are waiting commands, right? So I could own Michelle's laptop, but if I'm not like trying to ransomware it or key sniff or whatever, I just want to own it so I can weaponize it at some later point. That's basically a bot in a botnet. That's what's going on here. Now they're talking about Mirai, Strat, and Emotet, and a couple other ones. I'm not familiar with Strat personally. I haven't heard of that ever, so I don't know how big it is. But Mirai and Emotet are really well known ones. Mirai was this was a really interesting story. It was actually you end up finding out that it's two university students at Rutgers who made the Mirai botnet in order to do distributed denial of service attacks on Minecraft servers. See, guys, it doesn't have to be nation state, secret squirrel stuff. It can be two guys in a dorm room wanting to knock Minecraft servers offline. But Mirai got out when the heat got on them. They released the open source code for Mirai and it took off. It's really not a complicated piece of malware. You can look at the source code on GitHub. It's actually quite I don't want to call it crude because it's very effective, obviously, but it is interesting how simple it is. It just takes advantage of admin credentials and randomly generated IP addresses. Now, here's the thing. Emotet is nasty business, okay? Emotet was the initial payload that was used in kind of the Emotet, TrickBot, Ryuk ransomware, which became Conti ransomware. So you got to be careful. Emotet's making a resurgence. There has been multiple international or law enforcement coordinations of taking down both Emotet and Revil, which they mentioned in the story. And these things come back up, guys. So like they're very effective. You've got to be careful. Educate your end users. Emotet typically passes through phishing emails for initial infection. So macro-enabled viruses, hyperlinks to files, etc., like Google Drive, stuff like that. So be mindful of that. This is good to take back to your organization, to the end user community, to the business. You're not going to tell them, hey, listen, Carl, there's a resurgence in botnet activity in 2022, right? Like, don't say that. Just say, there's an uptick in end user targeted malicious campaigns. Here's a refresher on what phishing is. Here's a refresher on XYZ, and then make sure your EDRs and your EDRs are tuned for Emotet, but then also your SIM or your firewall is looking for kind of those indicators of compromise. Okay, so just be mindful of that. If Emotet takes off, if Revil comes back on strong, it's not going to be good, right? But guys, here's the final thing I'll say on this. When law enforcement coordinated takedowns take out a human, right? Like, oh, we took down the Revil ransomware gang. Guys, people operate in a decentralized fashion. The entire Revil ransomware gang wasn't holed up in one building. You know what I mean? This isn't like the 1930s or whatever, or the 1880s in the Wild West where all the outlaws sleep in the same brothel type place. You could get them all at once. Like, they're decentralized. The technology doesn't care who's running it. So it just sits dormant, and then you can rebuild it up and launch attacks again. Why, with all due respect, why wouldn't they? They're making a ton of money with it. Okay.
Meta withdraws Oversight Board guidance request. Meta initially requested guidance from the Oversight Board on its content moderation decisions around Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This is the first request Meta has withdrawn. The company said it withdrew the guidance request due to ongoing safety and security concerns, but did not elaborate on any specifics. The board said it was disappointed by Meta's decision and said it did not diminish Meta's responsibility about ongoing content moderation issues that have cropped up since the start of the war. EU
All right. Uh, I don't understand what this story is about, honestly. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't know what this story's about, honestly. I'd be really interested if people in chat know. I mean, we've talked about Facebook having some guidance around what they can and cannot do as being pushed down by the European Union's GDPR stuff, but withdrawing request guidance for Ukraine war content. So obviously, Facebook, aka Meta, there's a lot of people mentioning the Russian military operation in Ukraine. You can weaponize social media, right? You can weaponize Facebook, you can weaponize Twitter to push disinformation. We've seen stories where there is hundreds of thousands of Russian bots, like spam bots, that will push kind of a disinformation talking point, and then upvote it with the other bots and stuff like that. Get people um, kind of bending what the actual reality is of what's going on. So I'm guessing Facebook was asking for guidance on how to help moderate that. But now, since they're withdrawing requests, I guess they're gonna just handle it internally. My thing is, I don't understand who they were asking guidance from. Were they asking guidance from their oversight board? Yes. Well, I mean, what the heck? Like, what's the point of having the oversight board if you're not going to go to them with questions like this? I mean, this is such a germane topic to need oversight and guidance on. So I don't know, whatever. We'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into like a hot mess on fire over on Facebook as far as disinformation, misinformation
who
campaigns.
proposes new CSAM rules. The European Commission unveiled a plan that would require tech companies in Europe to scan platforms and products for child sexual abuse materials, or CSAM. While many platforms already scan for hashed versions of known CSAM, this new plan would let EU countries require tech companies to seek out and report new CSAM. Some privacy experts warn this law could force platforms to create encryption backdoors in order to be in compliance, as scanning for new CSAM would not have hashes to go off of. The plan requires approval of EU member states and the European Parliament, so it may be years until a final version of this plan becomes effective.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is interesting. So I'm a parent. You know, there's nothing. I mean, there's probably other things we could argue what's more polarizing, but like child exploitation in any capacity, right? Sexual exploitation is obviously gross, but like the child labor exploitation, weaponizing your children during like a messy divorce or something like that. Like kids should just be allowed to be kids, and it sucks that there's bad people out there. So when policy comes out like this, like no one is ever like against policy or initiatives that help protect kids, right? You're never going to see someone be like, "Oh no, I think that type of material is fine out there." But it is a slippery slope, because once you start baking in mechanisms and capabilities to kind of unlock encryption, unlock privacy under the auspices that you're only looking for this type of inappropriate and downright despicable type of content. Yes, that's 100% true. But humans are going to human. All right. And once you make a mechanism that can do this, the genie's out of the bottle, because now you can use that same technology to look for other types of material content, right? Right. It's built with a righteous purpose in mind, but it's a tool, and the tool will be used by whoever is in power or in control or has access to the tool. We see this all the time with organizations internally where like they're recording uh, Amazon Echo device recordings or Ring door internal Ring uh, uh, feeds, right? And they're going to just look at them in order to make sure quality control is done. So the Ring is lighting up when someone walks by, and then you've got these people, humans who work there, who are just watching the feeds and like basically eating popcorn at lunch, talking about this like real life drama of this couple that they've been watching for weeks or whatever. Like that happened, okay? And it has nothing to do with Ukraine, but I think it was being outsourced to Ukraine, and it got discovered that it was happening over there with that content. My point is the righteous initial idea of why you do this is awesome, and no one's going to disagree with it. But with any capability, with any technology, you must be careful. Like we have to bake in oversight, guidance, governance, transparency into any of this stuff, or it will be abused at some point. It's you can look back in history and see it time and time again. Okay, so I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get wicked political, but just think about it. Think about any time that there's been like like an uprising of citizenship, and then think about what the controlling government is doing with the technology and assets they have access to help squash or undermine that revolution.
AMD and Google audit EPYC CPU security. Google Cloud released its detailed audit of AMD's secure processor used in its EPYC CPUs. This involved providing Google's Project Zero and cloud security teams with closely guarded AMD source code. This also allowed Google access to use specialized hardware to mount physical attacks against AMD silicon. It's unclear how many vulnerabilities were discovered in this collaboration, but the report did list some specific findings, outline potential attack scenarios, and offer general areas of improvement. The goal was to better secure Google's confidential virtual machine offering.
Cool. Well, this looks like it's another another righteous thing, right? AMD is giving access to Google, a lot of trust. Like, hey, here's our patents, here's our secret sauce, whatever. I will point out that I think that there was money involved here, right? It's always follow the money. I hate to be such a cynic, but like Google is offering this confidential computing infrastructure, right? This is a service that Google charges for. All right. How can Google offer this with a level of assurance that people will feel comfortable to spend money on it? Well, they can say that they've done this, deep tech search of the chips architecture. We went to the hardware level. Well, AMD is not going to give you that for free, right? So either Google said, "Listen, we'll exclusively use AMD chips, which we'll only buy from you," or here's a wheelbarrow full of money. Give us access to that tech, or we'll give you like a percentage of everybody that signs up. Like I'm being a little playful here, but like some type of affiliate. As we build this up, you'll have a piece of the pie. There's no way AMD was just like, you know what, Google, you're cool. Here's our secret sauce. Definitely follow the money on this one. But you know what? As a consumer, good for us. Google actually needs to differentiate themselves in the market. Azure is crushing them. AWS is crushing them. They have some nice stuff, but it's not super approachable, in my opinion, for non-tech people. So this is a differentiator. It's a good investment. By the way, Google has like infinite money, so I don't think it would be too hard for them to take on this.
And now a word from our sponsor, Datadog, how to get full stack security for your production environment at datadoghq.com/CISO.
All right, and here's a note from me. I've gotten multiple questions in the last day about the Discord server. Guys, really quick, you see right beneath my name here, simplycyber.io/Discord. If you want to join the Discord server, it doesn't require any special software or fees or anything like that. Go to that URL and join. I'm just going to start baking in the Discord stuff because I got asked literally 3 times yesterday how to get access to the Discord server. Also, thank you, Brian Peak, for the paying Discord. I probably should remember that. That's probably better too. Thank you.
Biden signed cybercrime bill into law. The new Better Cybercrime Metrics Act requires the Justice Department to work with the National Academy of Sciences to develop a taxonomy for cybercrime that can be used by law enforcement agencies. It also requires the Justice Department to create a category in the National Incident-Based Reporting System for various cybercrime categories so that reports from federal, state, and local officials can be more easily tabulated and studied. The act also mandates the Government Accountability Office to issue a report on the effectiveness of existing cybercrime mechanisms. The Better Cybercrime Metrics Act received bipartisan support, passing the Senate in December, followed by the House in March.
Okay, this is cool. This is really cool. I am super excited to see what this cybercrime taxonomy looks like. Guys, I mean, taxonomies, you guys, you might think like, oh, that's not sexy. For me, that's pants off. Taxonomies are the best. Okay. Think about what MITRE ATT&CK framework did for our industry. That is a taxonomy, right? I have the principles of fraud examination in a which is a textbook around all the different forms of fraud. And it's a taxonomy. Dude, taxonomies give you scope, they give you boundaries, they give you a comprehensive look of all things. It's the way you start at the top and drill into things. There's no mystery of did I miss something, right? So check it out. A cybercrime taxonomy is dope. Now, the fact that this thing is called a better cybercrime metrics act, here's another like reality about cybersecurity. Okay, metrics are wicked hard. Okay, I don't like when Wendy Nather said it famously, and I love this line. Right, like telling me how many like okay, so like I don't care how many vulnerabilities you have, right, or how many phishing emails we received, right? It's the analogy she used, which was cool, is like I don't need you to tell me how many raindrops my umbrella stopped. I just need to know, does it keep me dry, yes or no, right? Like we don't care about the count of raindrops. Just because you can count things doesn't mean they're valuable to count. So in an organization, it can be very difficult to get good metrics that tell any particular story. And metrics are how you convey maturity, progress, efficacy of anything. And it's how the business decides whether or not something warrants additional investment or headcount and these type of things. So metrics are wicked important, but you need something in place. Now, we've seen multiple pieces of legislation get passed in the last 12 months around centralized reporting. There's public sector required, private sector encouraged reporting of incidents. We're getting a nice corpus of data. So this doesn't surprise me, right? The Metrics Act, quote unquote, Metrics Act, it's the next iteration. Once you build something and it's working and you start collecting data on it, the next obvious thing is to start counting the data or measuring the data and looking for anomalies, looking for outliers, etc., and then doing something about it, right? That's obviously the best part. So let's look for the taxonomy. Let's hope that this works. I love what the US government is doing in regards to cybersecurity. By the way, I had someone message me and say that I was like a homer for big government, right? Like I have some opinions pro and con against big government, but I'm not like a mouthpiece for the federal government. Anyways, that tripped me up a little bit. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned for this. This could be a radar item for me if when this thing starts rolling out, because I am really, really interested. It does say no later than a year from today. So this will take a little bit of time, like everything in the federal government. It'll move slowly, but when it comes out, hopefully it's cool. I'll be excited about it.
Vanity URLs could be social engineering fodder. Researchers at Varonis note that company-branded URLs added to well-known cloud services could be an effective phishing attack vector, as these could easily contain modified subdomains. These spoofed vanity URLs could seem completely legitimate and lead to the actual cloud service, but be used to host malicious documents or webinars. Varonis notified both Box and Zoom about potential issues with vanity URLs last year, with both taking measures to largely remediate the issue. But the researchers warn many other cloud services could be vulnerable to similar social engineering attacks.
Oh my god, guys. So we're getting a new roof today, and the roofers just showed up, and they're stomping all over the roof right above me, and the dogs are obviously pissed about that. Okay, guys, this is nothing new. I didn't really hear the story because I was dealing with all of this nonsense off camera. That's your own reflection. Basically, look at app.box.com and then veronis.app.box.com. See, I don't see, I guess I don't understand this, guys. You'll have to give me a pass on this one. Like, obviously, vanity URLs are bad, but my dogs are losing their mind. I just don't understand. I don't understand. So, like, look at this link here, okay, guys? And I'll go back and chat. You guys are probably going to help me with this one. It says you could change attacker.com or veronis.box.com or apple.zoom.us, right, to attacker. Hold on, let me look at this. Attacker. Okay, the original domain, attacker.zoom.us, could be changed to veronis.zoom.us. See, my thing, my confusion is like it's still the TLD of zoom.us, right? This is attacker dot is a subdomain of zoom.us, so you'd still have to own zoom.us. So I don't understand unless they're saying that you could change attacker.zoom.us to veronis.com. But oh my god, we might have to pitch this for Simply Cyber Daily Threat Briefing, guys. Anyways, whatever. Be mindful of URLs. They're a way that people regularly trick. All right, here we go. Oh my god.
Years-long phishing scheme
Losing
targeted
it here.
automakers.
We're
Researchers
losing.
at Checkpoint documented this campaign, which targeted a host of German companies in the automotive supply chain, from manufacturers to dealerships. Starting in July 2021, the actors created lookalike domains of legitimate sites, using them to send phishing emails laden with malware payloads sent as ISO disk image files to avoid detection. Checkpoint identified 14 targeted entities with messages tailored to each organization. Information stealing payloads were registered to an Iranian persona. The campaign's goal appears to be industrial espionage. A look at ransomware trends of
Okay, so industrial espionage is no joke. I find it wild that you would pass an ISO disk image as the attachment in the file. All right, a couple things here. One, guys, can you please just give me a minute to finish the brief? Listen, the automotive industry, it's all about patents. It's manufacturing at its finest. Germany's got great engineering, right? Obviously. So it doesn't surprise me that there would be espionage. I do find it interesting that they were targeted for over a year. I don't know who the threat actor would be targeting them, because what are you going to do with that data unless it's to improve your own automobiles, right? I have a couple prevailing theories, but I don't want to speculate just off the cuff right now, especially considering the day I'm having. But dude, an ISO disk image is a file attachment. ISO disk images are typically large files, and yet they could bypass security controls. Typically, if it's like a large file, they might not get checked. But typically email servers will not allow a certain sized file to pass as an attachment, just to protect, not to protect end users from a security perspective, but literally so you don't clog up the damn email server, especially if you're sending it out to like a large group of people, because each one's going to have that attachment on it, right? It takes up space. So we don't typically see that. Here's a nice little graphic. You could see the email includes, see, it says ISO and the file name says JPEG here. So I'm a little confused. Maybe it looks like a JPEG file, but it's really an ISO, which launches some type of web page, downloads a remote access Trojan onto your machine, and then communicates via Telegram onto the C2 server. So this is pretty cool. I guess the key takeaway here, guys, if you work in manufacturing, whether it's automotive or not, if you work in manufacturing, you have a diverse set of end users. This is basic phishing 101. Be mindful of it. Also, if you're a blue teamer and you're using obviously like an email server that's worth a crap, so like Exchange Online Protection, Proofpoint, Mimecast, Checkpoint, any of those, make sure that you're configuring your device to make sense for your organization, right? Do you need to be passing 20 meg files around? No. You probably have something like SharePoint or Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive or Box.com or Dropbox. Like, that's how you should be passing files. Now, granted, bad guys can use those to also pass malware, but that would take care of this particular one a little bit. So just be mindful, guys. I've said it a million times. It's defense in depth. You need to configure things at multiple layers to make it hard or unsuccessful for threat actors when they attack you, okay?
2022. SecureList put out a list of ransomware trends to be on the lookout for in the rest of the year. One that we've seen on this show before is threat actors trying to develop cross-platform ransomware to be as adaptive as possible. We've seen this with ransomware being written in Rust and Golang to make it easier to port to other platforms and make it harder to analyze. Another trend is the industrialization of ransomware, with affiliate models for ransomware increasingly the norm. As we've seen in the Conti leaks, in many ways, these ransomware operations run on typical software development practices. The Conti leaks are also illustrative of the third trend, ransomware gangs taking sides in geopolitical conflicts. We saw the pro-Russian stance of Conti leading directly to leaked data by pro-Ukrainian members. Thanks.
All right. So, okay. So these are three interesting trends. I mean, this one is a trend only because it literally is relevant to right now, right? Like, I don't think that this would have been a trend if the conflict hadn't broken out, obviously. The one, I guess, quote unquote trend that I find the most interesting and the biggest takeaway from all this is this one right here, right? Writing code that's cross-platform, that's been done since like the 90s, right? Like when Java came out, like that was the big sell of Java was write once, run anywhere, okay? So the fact that threat actors are doing it, guys, ransomware, malware, I don't care where, it's just software, right? It's doing something malicious, but it's just software. And software developers are going to write software the way software developers write software. So it doesn't matter if it's a Zoom client or if it's Conti ransomware. Like, they don't want to write it multiple times on multiple platforms. So that's not a big surprise for me. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that it took them this long to get around to it. The industrialization, though, that's the scary one, guys, because this is basically saying what we've seen already: ransomware as a service, malware as a service, pay per infection, right? Affiliate programs. All that means with the industrialization of it and the ability to make it so script kiddies and people who aren't technical or hackers in the sense could still take advantage of these crime operations, right? So what does that mean for us? That just means that there's a larger pool of individuals who are likely to take the attack. So when you're doing your classic risk calculation of impact and likelihood, the likelihood value is going up because of this industrialization. That's all that means. Higher risk, people, because the likelihood value is going to go up. That's it. So be mindful of that. Definitely, you might want to work this into a briefing for the business, right? If you're GRC or CISO, pull this as a 2022 trend, or as we look forward for the next 2 years, here's what I, CISO, think is going to be happening. We're seeing industrialization. These terms and this concept of decentralizing and making tools that end users can use, malicious tools, will resonate with a business audience. They understand optimization, efficiency, modularization, right? So use this as an opportunity. Okay, guys? So that's going to do it for this morning's threat briefing. Remember, it's Thursday live streams, and we've got a humdinger today. Outpost Gray at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is joining none other than two of my favorite people, Kimberly McKnight and Stefan Walbogo, on LinkedIn branding. Both of them, Cybersecurity Central, Kimberly's part of Cybersecurity Central. So if you've seen their stuff, her and Michelle are crushing it. Stefan, before he started working at Graylog, was, he still is a must follow on LinkedIn, but he's always putting out great content. Their content is recognizable, and there's a reason for it. It's because they understand how to deliver value to a community. They understand how to brand themselves. They understand how to leverage LinkedIn as a powerful platform for for networking, right? So you're definitely going to want to catch this. I'm going to catch it. Let me set the reminder right now on how we can leverage LinkedIn as a power platform. Of course, later today, look at this. We got two squad members, Jamelia Wilson and Jessica Propes. Thank you so much, guys. If you're interested, come join me at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, where I will be doing a GRC entry-level interview question and answer. My SOC analyst question and answer video has been pretty popular lately. I've heard really nice things from people who have used it and gotten jobs from it. So let's do it for the GRC people. Let's give the GRC people some love, especially since the GRC course just came out a couple months ago and people have now gone through it and they're ready to weaponize that knowledge and get that GRC job. So that's the plan here. I will be reaching out to Erica McDuffie and see if she's interested. She's a director. She's a higher up who works exclusively in GRC. It'd be interesting if she wants to join us because she's definitely hiring people in the GRC space too, to get her thoughts and perspectives. So you get a second opinion or a second perspective on these entry-level interview questions. So I hope you can join us. Go to simplycyber.io/streams to find this particular one, and obviously to find all of the other live streams that I do here on Simply Cyber. Guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely appreciate you dealing with the dogs. Like I said, I spilled coffee on my hand this morning, so I don't know what today is going to be. I'm definitely getting a new roof, though, so that's coming on. Lupe, best wishes with your second run on the second interview. Guys, be good. We'll see you later today at Outpost Gray Stream. Be good, everybody.